has opened on Wednesday, January 8th, 2014. Dave Lombard, Senior Public Works, will provide an explanation and breakdown of city costs as a comparison to the one bid received. See attached. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You want me to?
Go right ahead, Dave. Right ahead.
I believe you all have this in your packet. I'll just go through, try to go as quick as I can on the description on how I came up with our numbers. First I did a cost operating calculator for each piece of equipment to determine cost per hour. And it just takes the price of the machine and trade-in value, gives you depreciation. You enter insurance costs, fuel costs, tire track costs, repair for the year, operating costs, and it gives you a total amount to operate that piece of equipment. I have one for the 2 John Deeres and one for the 75C. On the 2 John Deeres, I ran into one glitch on the program for figuring the operator cost. It took it over the 200 hours used per year for depreciation, and that was total hours considered when it's used for snow removal also. So I just had to enter in the cost per hour to complete that formula. So if you go, and I've got a sheet here where it just does it's really just a simple math program where it shows the cost of the John Deere trade-in value, and these are all taken off of the actual slips that we got from the vendors. And it just multiplies it out and shows you how I came to that $49.96 cost per hour. And you have the wages and all the benefits included there to get the average cost per hour. I also did a breakdown on the hour meter readings just to show the average. We ended up with a grand total on the 2 John Deeres of 300.3 hours of use. And on the 75C we ended up with a grand total of 130 hours. And these hours include 100% of the mowing. I also did a breakdown on to do the same Okay, so we have the 2 operating cost calculators per hour. Let me just go through some other advantages I feel with public mowing. We have total control of the mowing. We can mow at the end of the week so it looks nice for the weekend. We can adjust for a slow growing season. If rain is forecasted, we can do the parks when they're dry to get a better look. If a busload of kids or visitors shows up at the park, we can adjust to that. We know exactly where the borders are, so there's no doubt who's responsible for mowing. We know what the cost for us to completely all of the mowing and can budget for the same cost. We've had no significant injuries or accidents in the past 15 years I have been at the city, with very little damage to equipment except when using part-time and experienced help. A question we have is, will the airport equipment expect to be paid back if we are hiring an outside company to do that, and we have equipment paid for by them? We have no administrative cost, however the clerk's office will have.
Dave, we get a little bit more in detail on number 5, airport equipment paid back. Paid back who?
If we submit a bill for an outside company to mow the airport, when they have already paid for half of the equipment to do that.
Who's they?
It's through the state of Minnesota, but it's a federal and a state grant.
Okay, thank you.
They paid for half of the 75C, the big tractor and big mower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's half paid for through the federal grant money.
Okay.
So we're not sure if they're gonna, if they would want money back for that, or if they would also pay for us to hire someone else to do the mowing.
Okay.
So it's just a question that we don't have an answer for. There's no administrative cost for us, however, the clerk's office will have extra billing and checks to do with another company involved. The invoices from the other company will have to be reviewed for work done and time billed, and someone at Public Works will need to monitor that company. There's no supervisory time spent on mowing direction at Public Works. The workers that do the mowing or in the parks or drive by a lot of the areas every day doing rounds and know what needs to be done and communicate with each other. On the one option that I figured out goes by our actual hour meters on the machine, and this, in my opinion, is the most accurate, honest method to determine the actual mowing cost. The price included of that mowing is the actual 136 acres, not the 113 that are on the bid. Also, the
And if I remember right from the last time you reported here, Dave, all this levee recertification work you're doing and removal of trees and pushing around dirt, you're actually creating more areas to mow right now, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, there will be more.
Future.
There will be a few more if we can get that work done, yes, there will be more added. Also, the time on the John Deere mowers includes some time for mowing the electrical easement and parts of the trails on the bluff, which are not included in the 113 or 136 acres even. Weed whips are used also to trim around Rushford sign on the bluff and on the trails on the bluff. The maintenance time is recommended intervals for maintenance. Our actual time is less, I'm sorry to say. Our costs include all the leaf grinding in the fall where we go into the parks, and instead of having to rake up or instead of having leaves blow into neighbors' yards and having to deal with that, we mow them together, grind them, and just make them disappear on the spot. Public Works has our total mowing cost number. I just want to explain why at the last council meeting, we had our total number, but Mr. Sarvey wanted us to show a breakdown and show a better comparison for each site according to what the bid that we received. And just to clarify a few things, it was once said at a council meeting that someone else did the mowing, it would free up 4 guys. However, if you do the math, it comes out like this. The average of our entire mowing season, including the leaf grinding in the fall, is about 22 weeks. On the average for the entire summer, 4 people spend a total of 20.5 hours per week mowing. Take that times the 22 weeks is 451 hours. Our equipment hour readings of actual mowing time is 431, plus the 4E for weed whipping comes to 471 for the entire mowing season. Or if you take the total man hours of 4 workers, that's 4 times 40 hours for the 22 weeks, comes to 3,520 hours. There's also a breakdown page there where it shows our average mowing hours and other projects included. As you can see on the last page is are the bid numbers. And our total cost for our season for everything was $23,750.